It's kind of interesting just to see how players have different arcs in their play. Of course, now let's not mince words here. Has DRG served his military service?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, he came back. He came back from military service before Björn did, right? And then he kind of paved the way for a lot of these other pro players to suddenly be coming back. I think he was maybe the first. Trying to think back. Yeah, I think he was the first to come back and then suddenly still be a match for these other pro players around, right? Giving a lot of hope to a lot of these players that are, well, going to military service or trying to come back from military service.
That's fair. It's kind of interesting to see, like, if you look at it at DRG's Wikipedia, seeing the giant gap. I mean, he was, a regular favorite in 2011, 2012. 2013 had some good events as well, and then giant gap until 2020 when he placed in the top 4 of the GSL. But unfortunately losing out to, I don't know, some no-name named Rogue or somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, that happens to some people, It's a dangerous guy, dangerous individual. And both these players so far, I guess we're having a fairly regular game. Neither of them really making a certain amount of circlings, which makes you think that they're going to attempt to get a snipe on their opponent's third base. Both the Baneling Nest at the forefront, so usually means that they will be used defensively.
Yeah, it's just a nice slow build here. We are seeing DRG deviate first here, dropping down the evolution chamber, while Dark chooses to go, for the lair first. So that will be the biggest change. We need to watch the gas counts here for both players, because with that early lair, that would lead to believe that we're going to see a really big tech switch here in Dark's favor. Now, I'm only seeing 3 of these gases, and Roach Warren's going to go down, so more than likely that will be just a +1 Roach timing, but it's going to come at a bit of a delay here, where DRG, already tossing down that evolution chamber, has +1 missile on the way. His own Roach Warren in production as well. What do you make of this here, Kozan? Is Dark just going to be playing from behind, or does he have something else built up?
Well, there's a couple more Zerglings overall being produced for him. He did have his lair a little bit quicker, so I thought he was going to grab the Roach speed as quickly as he can. He might still. Ooh, he's got scouted quite nicely. Still no Roach speed. Here though. Oh, he's just attacking with his Links and Banelings, that's why. It's not going all that swell, is it? Looks like...
Oh, I mean, these Banelings could find some decent damage. They do just a little bit. Where did those
2 come from?
Oh, what? 10 of those drones end up going down. I didn't even see the Banelings swing around on the bottom side, but DRG just barely did, so I don't feel so bad. Roaches are now going to be coming out and supply that +1 missile attack, as well as the Roachborn speed. But look at this, DRG going into the Spire. What an interesting turn of events.
Yeah, going Spire and the Roach upgrades here, it's definitely interesting. He might just be trying to grab a couple of them to snipe down the Overlords, and then just, have that threat out for Dark. Dark needs to respond to it, maybe make Hydralisk and get Spore Crawlers up, right? And then lose still a lot of Overlords anyway. We'll have to see, but then again, we're still not seeing any Roaches really on that production. Nor the road speeds coming up for DRG here. So you know what? I think their plans overall, they are changing rather quickly here. What they themselves want to be doing.
Well, and that's the beauty of StarCraft.
Seeing what their opponents, we're seeing what their opponent is up to. Just being like, all right, well, I guess I'm gonna go Mucilis then.
Yeah, that's the beauty of StarCraft. It doesn't matter what you decide to do. 2 minutes from now, you may be on a completely different trajectory, and that's totally fine if you can you can stay afloat and make it work. The Spire's now complete. Let's see how many of those mutas are going to pop out here. He's got enough for 4 more, so he might have a total of 8. And that seems to be about the case. He's going to have 7 come out. But that means Dark's actually going to have to be really careful here. He's got a rally out on the map that is going to be rather vulnerable. And I imagine, yeah, Dark's going to try and pull some of this back, but he's got a lot of supply sitting out in the map scouting. So he's got to be very, very careful. But I think he's going to have the switch in mind that he wants. Getting that infestation pit will have access to infestors, which will do a really nice job of zoning out the large muta count that is on the way.
Yeah. Yeah, it's again, I'm a bit surprised he stopped making the Mutalisks. Now he's making that bowl of roaches in order to actually stop another opponent's bowl of roaches, because that, you know, Mutalisks, they're great and all, but they're not really great at that. Not their best kind of job. But with these other roaches here as well, it will be enough. Softening them all up, making them orange and red, and then those roaches will just be able to pick them off. Alright, Dark still did manage to grab that 4th base though, right? And that is a nice little pick, especially if these Mutalisks don't manage to get anything else done rather than killing Overlords. That being said, Dark in a bit of a supply block now, so this is one of the worst times to get supply blocks, of course, when there's an opponent on your front door.
Okay, I have an interesting statistic. I have an interesting statistic for you. Despite the fact that Dark has been supply blocked, Dark had 10 of those Overlords out on the map. I counted them very quickly before that engagement began. He only lost 1.
What?
Yeah, he only lost 1. He pulled every single Overlord back, save 1.
Did lose in total 2 Overlords and an Overseer as well.
Yes, yes. He had 1 Overseer lost from the very beginning. I think it was a scouting, and then right as I about to say it. Right as I about to say that, he lost the Overseer in the engagement, but like only 1 out of all of those scouting. And I was just like, you gotta be kidding me. That's wild. That's great control by Dark, though. This is kind of an interesting engagement here, though. The Queen's being brought up to help aid in the fight. Now missile attack +2 has been allowed to finish. DRG has the number advantage only a little bit, but he now has an upgrade advantage as well. But look at all of those softened roaches. He's not going to be able to absorb as much damage when all of those are just 1 or 2 taps away.
Mutalisk attempting a bit of drone damage through the natural, now entering the main base. They got 8 workers here. It's respectable damage, but those ones a little bit more. Oh, there's that burrow upgrade now for Dark. Indicating for DRG that he needs to be aware that he could get, well, rushed into those drone lines at any moment now. Which is happening.
I was going to say, there's no detection at that base. Immediately the Queen's going to go down. Those roaches could easily just burrow and run away, but there is now an Overseer available at that base, but it's going to be a split aggression here. Dark channeling his inner innovation, harassing at all these bases.
Yeah, getting 5 workers there as well, coming back around on that 3rd base with another single roach that went the other way as opposed to the other ones. And now it's an awkward place. We see DRG going for the Nidus Worm, which is pretty cool to see. Will mitigate that defender's advantage here in ZVZ, which is a massive deal. A little bit of extra micro involved, of course, for DRG, but let's see if it's going to be enough. Right in the main base right now. As he's pushing on forwards, this Nidus network, it should force a lot of units of Dark backwards, right? There's not actually that much in it. There's nothing in it. But Dark has to respect it. Only sending 3 queens, that is... Oh my god, how did he know?
I mean, it's one of those high-risk, high-reward moments where you have to call your opponent's bluff and You got roaches fighting up on the top. You got a giant army in the center. And Dark just has to make a calculated play. I don't think you have that much in there, if anything. So he's just going to dedicate the minimum amount possible to that defense. And it pays off right now. DRG not able to get his opponent to blink, and he's going to have to continue being aggressive with his opponent at the front side of his fourth base here. These biles not really landing, and suddenly Dark has more forces here. He's able to push his opponent back, and what's DRG able to do? What's he reinforcing to? There are some roaches that are now coming out of the Nidus. He was going to try and line things up, and Dark is able to push his opponent back. Another Nidus Worm goes down into the main base, but it's going to be easily dealt with by those queens. I don't know that DRG is going to be able to handle this. I think Dark has got a good opportunity to push here.
Yeah, the supply's still a little bit close. Quick burrow with those roaches would help them regenerate a lot of health. For Dark, of course. Needs to be careful, but slight upper hand here. More burrowed roaches now entering the fray on the other side as well, coming for the drones. As Dark encroaches upon the fourth base. Another Nidus one as well. I mean, it's just an absolute bloodfest. The weird thing is that neither of them losing too many workers or too many roaches so far. That it's just like, well, they're in each other's face, but neither of them is actually dying right now.
This is a very, very difficult one to call. It's more roaches in the production tab. DRG switching into Hydralisks as well, but there's so much damage. Oh, great. Vials down onto the incoming larva. That's going to reduce the amount that DRG is able to reinforce here, but 192 to 162, it's a lot of damage. 13 workers have gone down for Dark. The supply is plummeting a little bit for our blue Zerg player.
Yeah, it looks like DRG did manage to utilize that quick mobility with the Nidus Worms here. Now it's just popping up absolutely everywhere, and no, actually taps out.
What?
I guess it's because of the lurkers.
Dark on the verge of advancing onto Code A. But he's going to have to do it by beating this opponent one more time in the bottom left, if he can make it happen. It's our red Zerg player for Team Envy. This is DRG. Dong Ray Gu.
And his opponents in the blue, the Zerg, the Dragon Phoenix Gamer, DRARK.
Good recovery.
DRK.
Dark. Oh, it's French, maybe.
Dark.
Dark.
Because you're worth it. That's why.
Is that a thing? Oh, is that like Dior or something? Like some makeup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe it. I believe it. I'm just still sitting here like I don't know. I just trying to figure out what I was missing from that previous game, but far be it for me to overthink the world's greatest Zerg players. So
I mean, imagine you're in this position, right? You're trying to make stuff work with your roaches across the map. You've been frustrated with like burrowed roaches in your own base, just burrowing, and you're continuously having to deal with it. You're still losing drones over and over to them, and then you see as lurkers as well on the opposite side, and you can't really push into him anymore. I mean, yeah. It's a situation where I can see why you would tap out, right?
Yeah. And granted, I think I've probably tapped out of games for much less. Like, he killed my first Zergling? Whatever. GG, I guess. Guess we know where this is going. It's just a rough
position to fight from. Some people like partying, right? They sit there, they try to fight it out through the end. DRG is just like, you know what? I'm not going to waste my time on this. I think I'm in a bad spot. I'm going to try to get myself in a better spot the next game.
Yeah. There is something to be said about saving the energy. We all have a finite amount of energy. Saving that energy for a better game. I think you're absolutely right. So,
yeah.
It does put Dark in
DRG would be, not me. I would stay in there until, you know, I'm...
Oh, yes.
I'm actually dead.
Oh, no. I'm I'm the type that'll tap
All my
out
buildings
much earlier than I absolutely should. Like, oh man, I took one bad engagement. Well, I've still got 120. No, get me out of this game. Get me out. I'm so done. And then I
would have been
sit there.
super dead for 5 minutes before I leave.
You've got got one drone out on the map, and you're like, all right, I'm still in it. I'm still in it, baby. Build that hatch.
Theoretically.
Yeah, he technically hasn't won the game yet.
There's a lot of stuff happening here, by the way. Dark kind of going for a big influx on links here. It was all very similar. Except for that, Dark did go for a cancellation on that third base of DRG this time around. The Banelings weren't ready in time, so Dark does kind of snap that into his favor. Has his own third base already set up. Retaliation from DRG is imminent, I would say. Most likely going to be happening momentarily here. Dark realizing this though, and is not just droning away like a madman, is grabbing himself more links, and I think he should be able to hold off. Yeah, DRG already going back into drones himself.
Yeah, the safety banes are already in a good spot, so and even having a couple of offensive banelings just in case DRG wanted to flood across the map and posture. So Dark's ready to go. He's already got it figured out, and in fact, I think he's just going to wrap around for a bit of aggression, keeping a couple of those banelings back at home. He's going to get his evolution chamber, his Roach Warren up, but look at him. Here he comes with those banelings, trying to see what he could ever possibly get. I don't think he's going to find a whole lot, though. These might find a little bit, though. Third base is not quite done yet for DRG. Some good exchanges here. Those banelings will waddle on up, find mostly queens, but that should provide a little bit of zoning for these to get some damage done. I think that baneling just blew up on its own hatchery, but DRG's with a good hold should be able to slow this down. The layer is going to come down for both players about the same time. DRG has a good advantage on his roach timing, but Dark is just going to continue winding up. He wants his third base done for good.
Yeah, usually it's the player that got his third base destroyed, right? Going across the map again with his own Zerglings, like, no, I must be able to settle the score on this. But this time around, it's like Dark just being like, no, I want you to stay on 2 bases. So what do you not get about this situation?
Come on, be cool. I thought we talked about this. You're going to only get to build this much, and then I get to do whatever I want. We talked about this. Mom said so.
I reserved this spot for my holiday home, my holiday hatchery.
Where the spawning pool water is just a little bit warmer than it is at home. It's so cold up here in the north, but down in the south, ooh, it's so tropical. Everybody needs a good vacation home there, Kozan.
Exactly. Oh, couple of links for DRG, once again making an attempt. Baneling suddenly, as a surprise, does get a reasonable connection.
DRG's
the more Zerglings you blow up, the better.
DRG's going to be the one to get mutas once again. But Roach Baneling could be a scary piece on the menu here. Those banelings are going to be way too far forward, though, so Roaches will be able to clean that up. Ooh, it'll be a nice little side attack, though. That's a lot of Zerglings there. Ooh, great baneling connection almost taking place, but not going to happen. Those Zerglings are going to get a lot of great positional damage here. DRG is constantly on the run, has to bring his own reinforcements here to help deal with this, but everything's getting cleaned up. Those reinforcing units are not going to be here right away, as both players are now working on their spires, and I don't think Dark can afford to lose this many workers here. He's not going to be able to support the gas count that he needs for those mutalisks, and he's going to have to pull all of those workers. 5 have already gone down. The reinforcing roaches should be able to finally clean this back up, but seeing those gases down at the third base location will give the indication to Dark that DRG is in fact coming out with mutas, but Dark's not too far behind on his own.
Yeah, quite quickly went for that spire of his own. Didn't go all that great with the Mutalisk the previous time. Did kind of get surprised. This time around, he's going to be ready for them. Even it's just going to start up Corruptus. Not messing about with Muta versus Muta. Just going to make the straight up counter to them. Of course, they don't shoot the ground units, so that could be a problem for later on to solve.
Now, that's always the delicate balance you have to come up with if you're going to defend mutas with corruptors, because if you commit too many corruptors, now all of a sudden your opponent's just going to max out on roaches, and oops, I just lose the game because I have 20 supply stuck in units that can't do anything. But I don't know that Dark is going to fall into that trap. I think he's going to just get enough to really hold this back, and suddenly this starts to look a little bit better for Dark. DRG's not going to be able to jump on top of him that quick, but neither player really securing a solid lead yet in this game. Nice back and forth.
Yeah, and if you manage to keep the Corruptus alive for a little bit longer here, right, eventually, if you do manage to get that Hive Tech up, you could get yourself the Great Aspire as well, and go for the Broodlords in that case, right? If you do run in that situation, you have a way out of it. Well, like you said, he's playing it wise, just gonna be quite a nuisance. He might actually get this hatchery right now. Thought those Ravagers would be coming in and just start biling away, but DRG not going for that right now. And he's in trouble. He's, what's the hatchery? Losing Overlords. The Queens don't do that much damage against Corruptus, unfortunately.
These Corruptors have gotten way more damage than they were ever supposed to. But if you're Dark, that's exactly what you need to do to maximize the value. Otherwise, it's just floating supply, literally, in your army that is not going to be able to do much of anything. So finding those Overlords, now intercepting those Mutas once again. DRG does manage to take the 4th base down, so he exacts a little bit of his own damage and revenge, but it still doesn't have a big answer for what Dark's cooking here. 139 to 125, and that army supply grew just a little bit more. Both players effectively maxed out at this point. DRG should have the advantage since he doesn't have as many units locked up in air, but it sure doesn't look that way if you look at Dark's perspective.
Yeah, he just has such a huge cluster of units there. Let's see, Ravager there. Blast in the sky will be quite crucial here. A lot of micro involved. The Spine Crawler a little bit further down the line as well, waiting for Dark. There's still more roaches coming across the map here for DRG. Now, it still has a bit of time, of course, before the front line dies, and that becomes a crucial thing to have around. Well, let's see with the bigger concave possible here. Would be a nice opportunity, but Dark smart enough not to engage there.
Wants to try and turn the tide here with a little bit of a Muta play. He's going to add 6 Mutas to this overall army composition, and it'll it's actually going to go straight up to 10, so Dark just going to go hard into that Muta count, trying to challenge his opponent and make him blink here on these roaches. Now, I do like this, using the burrow to his advantage so he can get a little bit of healing done. I mean, I hate to call this a little known fact because it's very clear, but roaches, when burrowed, heal very, very quickly. So it's a great way to recover some of that army. We just don't see it very often in professional play or in play in general, because sometimes it's seen as a little bit clunky and it's not something that positionally offers you a lot of benefit. But in this case, DRG able to maximize his army count here by salvaging what units he had initially. DRG with a really good engagement. Dark not finding a whole lot of positional advantage, but he picks up a couple of queens here, and now he's going to be able to rope in on top of this army. All of those Ravagers are going to be very, very exposed, and this 4th base is now going to go down as well. 20 workers have gone down, though, for DRG. These roaches have gotten so much damage done. Dark taking the 20 worker death. My apologies here. DRG finding a lot of value here in this small hit squad.
Yeah, those Mutalisks, I really enjoy that switch. It's funny to see DRG now the one opting to go for the Hydralisk, right? It's like, alright, well, I guess I just don't do Spire anymore. And starting to grab those upgrades for them now as well. That damage was crazy. 26 workers across the map being dealt. Dark on the other side, taking out so many of those Ravages. That's a bunch of... Actually, I think 5 of them lost in total. But the units lost that, you can see there's quite a bit of extra gas lost overall for DRG. So makes sense that Dark will maintain that air dominance. And it's nice to see DRG then just going for the Hydralisk. Something that could still potentially work here. Let's see if he doesn't get hit by too many of those biles. Or that Roach Concave is looking rather nasty though from Dark. Will the Hydra DPS be enough? I don't think Dark sees it that way. As he's moving right on top of DRG. He is in his personal space. And DRG's Hydras are not that happy about it. Being outrun now by those quicker Roaches. Everything for DRG going down. He is with a counterattack again with a bunch of Roaches on the other side of the map. Trying to find drones there. But on his own home turf, that is where the battle is going quite hefty into the favor of Dark. That's where that supply lead is hanging out right now. I'm not sure, Rushi, do you have any advice to DRG here? I'm not quite sure if there's a way out.
Unfortunately, DRG just needs to locate the F10 button and the N button on his keyboard at this point, because Dark is just overrun his opponent. Sure, DRG is able to pick off 2 bases, but Dark has way too much across the map. 142 to 71, and that's not a number you like to see. Dark, though, able to take a 2-0 win over his opponent, advancing on to Code A.